So this student found a secret room in the campus library when she pulled a dusty old book off the top shelf that revealed a hidden stairwell. Curious about where it led, she ventured down the stairs, completely unaware of the dire consequences. The steps creaked loudly as she descended into an old cellar. Inside, a door with an engraving that read, "Beyond this door is not what you're looking for, but rather a cryptic code that we have stowed, which, if you learn, means treasure earned." Beneath it was school signage in bold lettering that said, "Do not enter." But she did anyways, revealing a lone book on a table with something in it that caught her eye, a blank bookmarked page. But just then, powerful footsteps came creaking down the stairs. She quickly snapped a picture of the page, forgetting her flash was turned on, which immediately caught the attention of the furious librarian. "Out!" he yelled, slamming the door behind him as he shuffled the girl up the stairs. "I was just curious," she defended, but the librarian was fuming. "Your library card is revoked," he huffed, "and I'd be surprised if you aren't expelled for this." Sure enough, she was expelled. But weeks later, when she looked back on the picture, she realized the page wasn't blank after all. After some research, she found an article written by a renowned treasure hunter who claimed to have half of 2 separate treasure codes. It turns out that the hidden ink on the blank page was no match for her camera's flash. So this treasure hunter got a strange call in the middle of the night that he'd never forget. On the other line, a girl who claimed to have the missing codes to 2 of the biggest hidden treasure sites of the century. Having already found half of each code himself, the girl's discovery would reveal the exact coordinates of both sites. But there was a catch. The treasure hunter wanted 90% of the earnings and all of the recognition for finding the treasure. After all, he'd be the one excavating it. "You can have the recognition," the girl said, "but I think a 60-40 split is more fair." He begrudgingly agreed. Then he was off. Sure enough, he found the first treasure site buried in an open field on the countryside. But it wasn't the gold coins that caught his attention. Instead, it was a note that read, "You found the first, but the second is best. For when you find it, the reward is more than any treasure can afford." With his face on the headlines, the treasure hunter gloated over the miraculous find. As the girl expected, he took all of the credit. But what she didn't expect was him not paying his fair share. In fact, he didn't pay at all. The girl called and called, but he blocked her number. Now, he was off to claim the second treasure, and with no paperwork to prove their agreement, the girl was at a loss. But she also had a plan, and she already knew the treasure hunter's next stop, beneath a residential home that someone already owned. So this homeowner heard a strange knock on his door in the middle of the night. So he crept down the stairs and peered through the peephole to see who was there. As he reluctantly cracked the door open, a man holding a briefcase stood with a smile. "What's in the briefcase?" the homeowner asked. "Sir," the man said, "I'm prepared to offer you twice over the asking price for your home in cash right now." "Over the asking price?" The homeowner raised an eyebrow. "It's not for sale." He quickly slammed the door, worried that it was a trap. But sure enough, the man was back the next morning. "I'll pay anything," he begged as the homeowner got into his car for work. "Okay," the homeowner teased, $5 million, but you have to leave my property until I get back from work." "You've got yourself a deal," the man hollered without another breath. Lo and behold, there he was just a few hours later, his briefcase packed with $5 million. What he didn't expect was every major news network in front of the house. "What's the meaning of this?" the homeowner demanded as he pulled into the driveway. As he was rushed by the news teams, he discovered that there was something beneath his home, a treasure of a value unknown. He also learned that the mysterious man at his door was actually a treasure hunter. "Take the guaranteed $5 million, the treasure hunter hollered. But the homeowner wanted to find it himself. "The value of what's under there could be much less," he hollered again. But the man declined the offer, still intent on finding out what was buried below himself. Enraged by the news crews and his misfortune, the treasure hunter called the one person he knew could have revealed the coordinates. The girl. "You gave the location to the news networks?" he shouted. "It's funny how you call me back now, but couldn't answer when I called about the money you owe me," the girl sneered. "What money?" the treasure hunter scoffed. "Last I checked, we never signed a contract." Then he hung up and re-blocked the girl's number. After overhearing the conversation from earlier, including the $5 million offer, a little old lady who lived next door teetered outside. "I'll give you my house for half that price," she joked. But unlike her neighbors, her house was actually on the market. She dreamed of moving closer to her grandchildren, but her house was so old and outdated that no one would buy it. The treasure hunter did not find her funny. "That pile of junk," he scoffed, pointing to her beloved house. "You'd be better off knocking it down, so get lost." Shocked by his harsh words, the teary-eyed neighbor retreated indoors. "Now back to business," the treasure hunter fumed. $10 million, final offer, take it or leave it." To his surprise, the homeowner smiled. "You've got yourself a deal." And so it was settled. That week, the treasure hunter brought in an entire demolition crew, uprooting the house and everything beneath it. But there was no treasure to be found. For weeks, the treasure hunter toiled, but there was still nothing. That's when the news crews reappeared once again, only this time they were at the little old lady's house. Flustered, the treasure hunter elbowed his way to the front of the crowd. That's when he learned the truth. Earlier that month, the man he purchased the home from received a call from the girl the treasure hunter never paid. She informed him that the treasure was certainly not beneath his house, as only the first set of coordinates she gave to the treasure hunter were correct. She then made the second set of coordinates 1 digit off. That way, she could not only see if he paid her the first time around, but also find out where the treasure was. After all, the treasure hunter never gave her his side of the code. notes. After the phone call with the girl, the homeowner formed an agreement with his neighbor, the little old lady. She had no idea her home was sitting on top of the century's biggest treasure site, and it would be more than enough to move her closer to her grandchildren. "It was here when I bought it," she cheered to the news outlets. That's when she noticed the treasure hunter standing in the crowd. "Aha, it's you," she smiled. "I guess you were right all along. It would be better knocked down." And so the headlines went flying. Unlikely trio splits treasure evenly 3 ways.